911, what is your emergency?
Units respond code 3 to a 1050 on the highway. Vehicles are blocking multiple
We're en route
lanes
to the
of travel.
hospital. Patient is currently having
We've got a
cardiac
4-alarm
arrest and has
fire
been
here.
intubated.
Send additional
Protesters are
trucks.
outside of City Hall and they are not complying with our
Out on
orders
1.
to
Hold the
disperse.
air.
In a rapidly changing world for first responders, where it seems that every day the rules and norms are changing, there is one voice you can count on to give you the latest in emergency news. That is Lifeline. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Lifeline 911 Podcast with your host, Erica.
Hello.
I am your co-host, Gary, and today we are joined again by a very special guest, Rohan Galloway-Dawkins, the Chief Product Officer of Versaterm. And we are excited to have him on today to discuss community engagement and how his company can help connect law enforcement activity to the civilians.
Thank you, and glad to be back.
Welcome. So, as I was saying before the start of the show, Rohan, I was digging around on the site and I came across some really interesting, what I thought community engagement meant. And I was not exactly right because in my head, I was thinking community outreach. And I know that you may have something that can help with that. But as it turns out, as I was telling Gary, it kind of reminds me of when you order a pizza and you get a text message that says the pizza's in the oven. Now it's been taken out of the oven. Now the driver is on his way or her way, and then they'll be there in a few minutes. Kind of like that update thing. And I know that's an oversimplification, but it was the best that I could come up with. And am I on the right track at all?
You are definitely on the right track, and when we look at community engagement, we're really looking at every touch point that the community will have with public safety, right? Whether that's law enforcement, police, fire, EMS, right? And we're looking at the level of what looks like customer service from the community and how can we improve that level of responsiveness from public safety to provide a better experience for the community. But also on the flip side of that, we're looking at the efficiencies and the overhead for the public safety environment. How can we provide efficiencies there to make this a win-win both directions? So some of those, right, when you're looking at the different areas of engagement between the community and public safety, there is very much a piece of that just pulling back the curtain, right? And that, you know, the scenario that you were describing there of having those text messages go from public safety out to the community, similar to when you order a pizza or when you order a package from Amazon, right? There's a lot of bi-directional benefit to that level of communication, right? Just pulling, like I said, pulling back that curtain and providing not just better communication, but more communication, right? When, as a community member, when you call into 911, this isn't something that you do every day, right? And typically, if you've gone to the extent of calling emergency services, you're a little bit anxious about getting that response or having that help come to you, right? So just pulling back that curtain, pulling back some of the fog of, you know, I called in and then we hung up and I'm standing here still in this emergency situation, wondering what's going on. Having that additional level of communication go out to the community to just the simple acknowledgement, yes, we got your call. There is an incident number. People are responding. We're on the way. Helps pull some of that anxiety down. And for the community member, right, as we're giving these updates, we're on the way, or hey, you know, you called about the cat up the tree. We love it that you're wanting to engage, but it's 4th of July and there's fireworks. We're going to be a little bit late. Right, setting those expectations pulls down the anxiety for the community member. But on the flip side, right, for the agency, for callbacks, so we're pulling down that call volume, so people aren't, you know, immediately calling back and wondering, hey, you know, I hung up with you 2 minutes ago. Where are you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And also then for the emergency responders when they show up on site, a better informed community member helps them out as well. Right. So there may have been tasks like you had a vehicle collision on the side of the road. now maybe we can point you to some what to expect kind of assets or things that you should start doing, exchanging information before the officer gets there. Or hey, some of our agencies up in York in Canada during COVID started to use the same function to set expectations for when the officer showed up, so that people were better informed. Like the officer's going to stay 6 feet away from you, right? They may be wearing a mask. Don't be concerned, right? So when those emergency services show up, a better informed community member then puts that emergency responder in a better situation that they're stepping into.
Yeah, because they're not, there's no frustration or limited frustration, if you will. They are, like you said, they've set the expectation, and now they're not railing on the officer. Why did it take you so long? I'm so upset about the response time because that has been removed from the equation. That not knowing and not having any idea what is happening from the time they hang up the phone until the responder is at their doorstep, if you will. So I can see an immediate benefit to not having that aspect of them calling back saying it's been 5 minutes, where are they? It's been 30 minutes, where are they? That's
Exactly,
amazing.
exactly.
That's
And when you
amazing.
talk about that community engagement side, and probably some of the more traditional pieces that you were thinking of, community outreach and things like that, um, the more that public safety in general is responsive to the community, and I mean it's something that if you think about it in our own private lives, right? When we engage with companies and look for goods and services, the more responsive those vendors or those companies are, the better we feel about them, right? So when you are going through and doing your community outreach and looking for that partnership between the community and public safety, the better service that's being provided, the better that the community in general feels about your responsiveness. And if they feel like you're listening to them and responding, you're going to have a lot easier time trying to get them to engage with you and help you on other things as well.
You are 1000% right. I think of just as a consumer, you're 100% right. I would feel, I love it when I find that my stop or not my stop, but my package from Amazon is 5 stops away. I start immediately going, I can't wait. It's about to be here. And it just makes me feel good about Amazon. I mean, that's just the root of it.
Exactly, and it's almost like a bank of goodwill, right? Building that trust bit by bit, piece by piece, every day. And the more that we can help public safety provide those breadcrumbs, those smaller increments of goodwill, we're cashing that, right? We're banking that goodwill away for when you really need to engage with the community, or unfortunately, when things may go a little bit wrong or a little bit sideways, right? This is that goodwill that we're banking or putting away to respond for a rainy day.
Agreed. I like it. So, tell me about spider tech. I know I kind of touched on it before we went on the air. I believe that there was a high profile, I don't know, I guess customer is the right way. Was it like a California DA that used your system? Does that sound familiar to you at all? I
Yes,
believe they used it for the sex crimes. Oh no.
yes, the domestic violence crimes.
Yes, that was amazing. And I did not think about it being applicable to something like that.
Yeah, so it's like I said, that when Versaterm thinks about that community engagement and how can we, as a technology provider, help our public safety partners engage with their community, it really is that holistic type of approach, right? So within that purpose-built ecosystem of Versaterm software, community engagement is very much one of our focuses. So we try to look at every single touch point that public safety has with the community and think about how we can engage there between whether it's a spider tech solution, or a community report type of solution for non-emergency service reporting, or an automated call triage solution. Really, any point at which the public safety community is touching or contacting the broader community is someplace where we want to look at and say, okay, how can we improve that customer service, improve that engagement with the community, and save some time and effort for the public safety agency as well. So the example that you called out there is in San Diego. The prosecutor's office in San Diego started leveraging Spider Tech within their prosecutor workflow. So Spider Tech has a couple of different capabilities. One will send out status messages, whether that's status about an incident response, status about an investigation, right? So those investigations, whether it's law enforcement, so police or sheriff, or even especially when you get into the prosecutor side, there's another investigative portion there. Just giving constant status updates of, we haven't forgotten about you, we're still investigating, there's been a development, things like that. And then surveys for continual improvement and feedback. Those are kind of the fundamental components of Spider Tech. So what our partner in San Diego has done on the prosecutor side is they really looked at and they wanted to focus on how can they better support victims as they go through that jurisprudence process, right? So we've already passed through that initial response. We've gone through the law enforcement investigation, and now the district attorney looked at it and said, well, sometimes this court process can also take some time, and we've got folks that are in a very tough situation, right? Domestic violence is one of those situations that is very tough on the victim. Also is one of those situations that just gets very sticky and very messy in your home life, right? So because these processes can take some time, the DA really wanted to focus on the support and the service levels that they were providing to the victims that they're supporting. So they leveraged Spider Tech to keep those victims up to date and informed about the process as it goes along, right? What's happening within the courts, what's happening within the investigation, when are court dates happening, right? So that victim has clarity that things are still progressing and what's happening, but also knows that they haven't been left behind. They're also using the solution to inform victims about the support that's out there for them, right? Whether that's victims groups, whether that's potentially housing, right? Whatever types of resources they have for those victims, they're putting that front and center, making it easy for those victims to find that, or I should say survivors, right? To find that information and to be better informed. And then to make sure that their services are continually, again, focusing on their survivors and on their peace of mind. They're also using that. They're using the solution to provide a post case or a post incident survey, so they can hear back from those survivors about the level of service that they've received. Right? What went well? What didn't? Where can they improve? And what should they pass along as a thank you to the folks that did provide that support?
Wow. And you mentioned the services, or yeah, I guess services that might be available to a person that is a victim and or survivor of domestic violence. My mind immediately went to our what we call crisis or victim services. And
Mhm.
sometimes I can just imagine if this were something available in our agency, the officers leave, the crisis units leave, and it's 3 days later, 4 days later, and they've misplaced the pamphlets. Well, in comes this message saying, don't forget, you have this resource available to you, that resource available to you. Or, heaven forbid, they find themselves back in that situation yet again because it's not over. And now they need to reach out to a safety group or a safe housing or a shelter of some sort. That I can just see this software being instrumental in making sure that they don't have pieces of paper and pamphlets to keep up with.
Exactly. It's all about meeting the community where they are, right? Making because within the public safety environment with our responders, we spend a lot of time and thought and effort thinking about how we can support the community, how we can provide better services, right? So when we talk about community engagement, we're really thinking about how can we cover that last mile, right? How
Yeah.
can we take this effort that we've put into supporting our community and providing all these resources and meet people where they are in the ways that they expect to be supported.
And I'm just blown away about by the, I guess, the comprehensiveness of it. It is all encompassing. I feel like as I was reading up on this in preparation for our conversation, I feel like you guys, there's what is left to do. Where are you going to go after this? Because I feel like you've arrived.
Well, there's always more to iterate on and more to add. So some of the latest pieces that we've added, and Austin is actually a very powerful user of this one, is the crime report solution, right? So again, looking at all of these different touch points, or I'm sorry, community report. Um, when we look at community report, what we looked at there was, well, we have a lot of cases where um, what in the public safety realm we would call a non-emergency service report, right? It's not and depending on your jurisdiction, it may or may not be something that you actually send a unit out for. But even if you do, it's going to be a lower priority because it's not an incident in progress, right? My bicycle was stolen. Someone broke my car window, right? It's not something where the person is still there, and really as a person in the community, I just need a police report,
For
right?
my
I need a police
insurance.
report. Exactly. So I can file with my insurance. I just need the police report. I don't need to be stuck at home all day waiting for a law enforcement unit to respond when they aren't doing their emergency responses, right? There's not that much investigation. No evidence was left, right? These are things that, from a quality of life standpoint, when we looked at that problem, we said, well, how do we make this easier, right? How do we make this easier on the community? How do we make this easier on law enforcement? So what we did there is we looked at what the problem was, but also the solutions that are in the market, and a lot of solutions that really focused on non-emergency service reporting today are form-based. You go online, there's a form, you fill it out, and hopefully something happens. Problem with those forms are difficult, right? Forms kind of make people sad. You see this long form of all this information. It's daunting, right? You don't really want to fill it out. And then as a general member of the public, probably don't know all of the public safety lingo, right? What's the difference between an assault and a battery, right? What's the difference between a theft and a break-in, right? I don't
Yeah,
know what those differences are. I just know what happened to me,
you're
right?
right.
On the public safety side, we need that distinction, right? We need to be able to create a NIBRS-based report that we can roll up and send to the FBI for all these accounting purposes, right? We need some minimum amount of information to be able to investigate an incident, or else it's really, there's really no meat there, and now we have to go on site anyway, right? So what we did is leverage technology to try and bridge that gap, right? So we leveraged responsible AI with a purpose-built solution um, to create a virtual investigator. So now instead of giving someone this really long form and I go on the website and I have to try and figure out what's going on, this virtual investigator just has a conversation with you just as an officer would if they showed up on site. So now we're engaging in a conversation, and it's not, the chatbot kind of experience that you might expect from calling into the airline. Press one for this, press two for this. It
Yes.
starts off with just in your own words, tell me what happened.
And
And
that
the
is so true because it absolutely is that. I've seen it. It absolutely does start off just like that. In your own words, they are able to provide a narrative that the system interprets and then starts guiding them.
Exactly. So Don't make the community member have to know all of the ins and outs of public safety. Meet them where they are and let them tell you in their own words. And then we'll use intelligence to interpret that. We'll validate it. We'll ask questions. We'll clarify. Again, that's that virtual investigator. But the community member just gets to speak, right? Then on the back end, for the public safety or law enforcement provider, we pivot that into the content and into the language that they need. So now what they're seeing is a fully NIBRS based report. Right? We have all of the information that's necessary. The who was it, where was it, what was it, right? All those very structured and very detailed pieces that are necessary to get through all of the process we need internally is completely filled out in the report. So now the timeline for the community to get a response much shorter. We're saving a whole bunch of time for call takers like yourself to spend on the phone and talk to these people, or a law enforcement officer to go on site. We're also saving all of that investigative time on the back end, where we can just go directly to the end of the story.
You're 100% right, and I have had many a conversation where I'm on the phone and the person is telling me what's happened, and I realize this is something that they can go online and do themselves. And most of the people, most of them, once you explain, well, here's what you can do, you'll get a report number instantly, and you can submit that to your insurance. And if there's any more reporting to be done, or once it's uh, assigned to a detective, they will reach out to you, so on and so forth. But they hear that, but I had them at online, and I had them at instant report number. They think report number equals insurance equals me moving on with my life and not staying stuck waiting for the process that I have no insight into, which is what you started with at the very beginning of our conversation, was pulling back that curtain. And it's not so urgent because they've gotten at least the immediate issue addressed. I love it. So good.
Now, when you say like in AI, I think a lot of people kind of think like HAL 9000 or like Terminator, but it's more like the large language learning models, like the Chat GPTs that will find the keywords. Correct?
So we're not actually leveraging large language models, and that's for a reason. When we look at our ecosystem and our software in general, and especially from my point of view, looking at all of our solutions and how to support our partners in the best way, we're looking for a very purpose-built solution, but also a responsible application of technology. So when we're building solutions for public safety and for their interactions between public safety and community, we are also very focused on making sure that the solutions we put out are going to be predictable and are going to be responsive. Right? We want them to be easy to use, intelligent, able to be force multipliers, but at the same time, what we can't handle is if those solutions put out information that is incorrect or misleading. So we have a whole bunch of folks that are looking into large language models and how we can leverage those at scale, but also responsibly. Today, where large language models sit, because they are what's called generative AI, there's a lot of boundaries and just safety nets, safety protocols that we need to start putting around those things, so that the responses they give when they are generating the best response, that they are generating responses that we public safety want to give to the community, right? We don't want them out there, you'll hear the buzzwords like hallucinations and things like that. Basically, they are generating content that they think is the right response based on a bunch of math, but don't necessarily have the insight or following the SOP that the public safety agency might have had for what that response should be, right? So we leverage technologies in ways that are purpose-built and responsible to solve a specific problem. right? We don't want to create more work. We don't want to create more problems. So as we approach these solutions, we leverage for this community report solution, we're leveraging natural language processing, we're leveraging machine learning and some algorithms there, but we're not going to the bleeding edge to a large language model or generative AI because we as a vendor have some work to do to make sure that we can solve a problem and do that responsibly first. Yeah, it's one of those areas that, and when you ask what's next, what's coming, um, solving more problems is what's next and what's coming, right? Expanding that footprint, but also doing it in ways that are more capable and more flexible. So we are looking at some of these new technologies, things like that, and looking at ways that we can bring those in. But we want to do those in ways that, it doesn't the worst thing that we can do when it comes to community engagement, and I talked about that, building that bank of trust to be able to draw upon. We don't want to be the ones in the middle that cause reductions in that bank of trust, right? So we don't want to get out there and cause problems where our solution is giving the wrong information, maybe a little bit faster. But if I tell you the wrong thing, you're going to be more upset with that public safety agency than you were at the beginning.
Agreed. You would almost rather wait for I can just see myself, as a private citizen, I would have much rather wait for the officer if this product, for lack of a better way to put it, is going to give me wrong information or set an expectation that is unrealistic or just plain wrong.
Exactly, exactly. So we want to be supporting the public safety agencies, right? Folks like yourself. We want to be providing the message that you would have provided anyway. We don't want to be generating those responses and making up things that you didn't intend, or, signing you up for things that you can't deliver, right?
You don't want that experimental, because I know I'm not going to say the name of the search engine, but there are a couple that have quote unquote AI, and they have a disclaimer that says this is experimental. So the information you get may not be accurate. You don't want that.
Exactly, right. Experimentation is not the place for public safety. We are very focused on and we are very innovative but iterative when it comes to new technologies, new capabilities, right? We want to listen to the users from all sides and understand what the problems are and build purpose-built solutions to solve those problems. But our public safety partners and the communities they support are not our lab rats, right? It's not the time to experiment on people, right? So when we put these solutions out there, um, it's not an issue of will it work or won't it work, right? And you see this a lot with new entrants in law enforcement vendors. Sometimes they'll throw some things out there before it's baked. For us, we want to be that trusted partner for our partners, right? We want you to look at us and say, you take care of our users, you take care of our community, you think about the problems that you're trying to solve before you just throw something across the board. That's who we want to be when we show up with our partners. So for us, we won't be on the bleeding edge of things. We won't be on the bleeding edge of things because when we put a solution into the market, we want to make 100% sure that it's going to solve the problem that we intend to and not generate other work or other problems someplace else.
I like it. I like it. So you mentioned very in the very beginning about, oh, I mentioned community outreach. Is there a way, or is there a product, or is it Spider Tech or some other product that you have already that would help what I do, which is literally go out into the community and I find ways, or I'm actually looking for touch points, like you mentioned. I'm looking to get into the schools. I'm looking to get into the nursing homes. Is there a way that one of your products might help me with that if I'm looking for a way to branch out?
Yes, actually, Spider is one of those good ways to do that. So beyond just kind of the incident response pieces, um, you know, when you look at communicating between public safety and the community, um, part of, as you're pointing out, right, part of the limitation or the trouble or the issue there can be, who should I reach out to, right? Who wants to communicate with me? Who wants to have that type of relationship? So one of the other things that we do, and in this world of spam and things like that, we're a little bit blocked from just splattering out messages to the entire community and then hoping we get a response back, right?
Yes.
So one of the things that we do every time that you call in for support with emergency services, Spider is sending that message out, right? Sending you an update, whether it's a law enforcement issue or a health and the emergency response, a heart attack, things like that. So we're building up this. I shouldn't say we are. The agency is building up this contact list at the behest of the community, right? So when
Hmm.
we're reaching out, we're saying, hey, this happened. We're also asking questions like, would you like to be contacted, or would you like to engage with this public safety agency outside of this emergency response? So it's not a must-have, but it gives an indication from the community that, yes, you know what, you provided such good service. I would like to hear more from you later. I would like to engage. So we're building up on behalf of that agency, that contact list of folks that would like to hear more about what's going on with the public safety agency, whether that's community outreach, whether that's special events, whatever that may be. We're then providing tools to the public safety agency to reach out on a one-on-one or on a larger basis to send out communications directly to those folks who want to hear more from the public safety agency. So we've got, we call that the community engagement module. So one of the examples there would be San Antonio. San Antonio has a very active community engagement, community outreach portion of the agency, right? So they will use Spider Tech to reach out to those specific members within the community who have indicated they want to hear more from public safety. To tell them about events, to tell them about, hey, we're going to have a coffee and donuts with officers in the morning on Monday morning. There's going to be a parade. Here's the parade route. Be aware so that your travel isn't impacted. Right, but they use that solution to proactively reach out to the community, to bring them into events that they're having, or to inform them about things that are going on in the community that they may need to be aware of.
That is exactly what I was thinking in my head about how we might be able to reach out to the community or have them or know ahead of time. So you're right. So we're not spamming people, because I don't know about you, but I get messages on my phone and I'm like, I don't know you. I don't trust you because I've never even heard of you. And even if I have, I assume already that you are impersonating some company or some entity that I've had contact with, and I just don't trust it. But if I have already said, yes, I would like to have your 911 operators and dispatchers come and speak to the kids at this career day, so on and so forth, I've already got an open door. I've got a crack in the window and I can just step through. I absolutely love that. Sounds like I got some work to do.
100%, 100%, right? You're getting the message directly from a number that's registered with the agency, right? We're just a facilitator. We're not there taking any data. We're not there even looking at any data. It's not going into some large database that someone's going to use to contact you later, right? This is just facilitating that public safety agency's interaction and connectivity with their community.
I absolutely love it. I am excited about it. As I said, I got some work to do. I'm scribbling furiously over here, thinking, who do I talk to next about Spider Tech?
Now, one that, as a call taker, one other piece of the community engagement ecosystem that might interest you is what we call non-emergency call triage. Have you heard much about that one before?
Eh, Not non-emergency, but when I think call triage, I think about, listen carefully because our menu has recently changed. Press 1 if you need this, press 5 if you need that. That's where my head goes to that. Am I?
You are. This is the a little bit of a revolution on top of that, right? So
Okay.
that same kind of experience that I was speaking about before with Community Report and that virtual investigator. We're using that same meeting people where they are type of approach, that same open-ended, just tell me in your own words. But what we're doing there is we're taking all of those calls that come in on the 7-digit non-emergency service number, right?
Yeah.
And we're putting it through this automated call triage, asking people in their own words, explain to me what it is that you're looking for. We're using that same technology on the back end then to try and understand what it is that the community member is looking for, to then direct them to the people or services that they need to resolve their issue. Could be something like like I was saying, I just need to learn about I need to be connected to the fish and wildlife, fish and game,
Yes.
so I can get a fishing license. It could be because, hey, someone stole my bike and I just need to talk to that virtual investigator so I can get my police report. But not that dial, press 1 for this, press 2 for that. It's directly just tell me what's going on. And I will understand that and connect you to the services that you're looking for.
Oh, so okay. So I'm calling, our non-emergency number because it's the only one, or 311 for us. And I have no idea where to go with this, but there's a car parked facing the wrong direction on my street. There's nothing else wrong with that situation, but I don't know as the citizen that that's most likely uh, parking enforcement or code enforcement. I don't know that. All I know is this doesn't look right. It's not necessarily an emergency. I don't think it's police, but I cannot remember where I go. Is that what you mean?
That is exactly what I mean, right? And in much that same type of engagement, right? We'll listen first. We'll listen in multiple languages. I think we're up to 33 now. So again, meeting people where they are, just trying to be more helpful, right? Whatever's most comfortable to you, speak in that language. We'll understand it, and then we'll communicate back to you. We'll also explain what it is that we're thinking, right? Instead of just, oh yeah, that's parking enforcement, I'll just go ahead and transfer you. I heard this. We think this is what you're looking for. Is this correct? Yes? Then we move you on.
That's amazing. I'm I'm a little in love with Versaterm right now.
Well, that
Just
one,
a little bit.
our partner up in BOIC, which is the PSAP that covers Oregon, or I'm sorry, Portland, Oregon. They were one of our initial users of that solution and found that it was really pulling down their wait times. They had some very extended wait times with the amount of call volume that they were getting. So again, you talk about building that bank of trust, that bank of goodwill. Someone's not waiting on the phone for 45 minutes. You're going to have a lot more trust and goodwill. But then also getting those folks being able to understand and get them to the help that they needed faster. That's all they wanted in the first place.
You're right. And it's all about, like you said, meeting them where they are. I feel more informed. I feel smarter, to quote one of my MSNBC favorite anchors. It's let's get smarter. I feel like I get a little smarter each time we talk to you, Rowan.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And I really do. I love speaking with you guys. I love hearing more practical examples of what you're dealing with on a day-to-day type of engagement, right? That's really what feeds our innovation, right? What feeds what's next. We're really just looking for the next thing, right? The next problem that we can solve, the next area that we can engage in to help you guys do your job a little bit easier, pull down that workload a little bit for you, and then help you do ultimately what you get up in the morning for, which is to help your community.
That is absolutely true. If someone is interested, like say this is the first time they will pull down this episode and they don't even know how to reach Versaterm or what it is other than what you've explained, is there a website that they can go to or an email?
Yeah, we have our corporate website is Versaterm, Versaterm.com. All of our solutions are on the website, as well as ways to contact us and help us help us reach out and help our partners do better. Right. Also, we are, because of this purpose-built ecosystem, we may be part of your ecosystem today, and that's part of our partner success outreach. Having folks that are already engaged with your agency to help you. As we've brought these solutions together, we really touch almost, I believe it's just over 2,000 agencies within the U.S. and Canada today. So you may already have a representative there that's, again, looking to engage and looking to talk about what problems you have and how we can help.
All right. Well, you heard it here, folks, at Lifeline 911 podcast, Versaterm. Rohan, thank you so much. Gary, anything?
Yes, Rowan, thank you so much for joining us. It's, as you said, it's always a pleasure to get to talk to you and kind of peek around the corner with what's going to be coming down the pipeline, hopefully for any sort of first responders.
And we hope we can have you on again. I hope this will be the beginning of a fruitful relationship, because I'm all about learning about this stuff. Gary's our technical person, so if you want to talk AI and gadgets and gadgets and all of that language stuff that I don't know anything about, he's your guy. But I'm your lay person, so I'm loving it. Just another way for anyone who's listening to get a practical application. So it's really good. I enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I'm happy to come on anytime you guys will have me. Really do have a great time talking to you guys, and that taking the gadgets and gadgets, as you said, those blinky lights and solving a problem with them in ways that normal people can understand, like myself, right? That's really what we get up for every day. So happy to come back and talk about kind of trends, what we're seeing, and ways that we can help public safety.
Wonderful to hear. Oh, this has been Lifeline 911, and we've been having a conversation with Rohan Galloway-Dawkins, the Chief Product Officer of Versaterm, discussing their company's community engagement programs, which work to bring the community closer to the first responders. Thank you so much, Rohan, and we hope that everyone enjoyed the episode. Please make sure to like and subscribe it, and we will see you next week.
Thank you for watching our production of Lifeline 911 podcast. If you have any questions about the topics we discussed today, or if there's something specific you'd like us to cover in a future episode, send us your questions at lifeline911podcast@gmail.com. Stay safe out there. Until next time, this is Lifeline 911 signing off.